went from living like monks, living out back of the trunk. The pockets are fat with the mumps, pockets are fat like the clubs. Now I am living like Trump. Now I am living like Trump. Mimosas and mimosas, mimosas and mimosas, mimosas and mimosas. The Morris Costa Nostra, pulling up in Testarossa. We charging the debt, discharging the debt, discharging the debt. We charging the jet. Swipers on deck, ciphers on deck, ciphers on deck. Wipers on deck, wipers on deck. My life is on check, my life is on check. My life is on tubes, my life is a Jew. My life is on you, my wife is on two, my wife is on two. I'm going for 3, you know it is me. Bread is the pillar, the jet is my pillar, the fez is the killer, the bread is gorilla, the flow is Godzilla, the lizard the beast. I visit the priest, and tell him my sins. I tell him I'm twin, I tell him I'm him, I tell him I'm him. High majesty, high as can be, I am a mountain.
Peace, family. Welcome to another episode Underground Railroad Productions. This is your host, Brother Rich. I am joined, man. I got the family in here, man. The brothers, KT the Arch Degree and the Blue Pill, man. Welcome back to the show, brothers.
Peace, family.
Peace, fam. What's going on?
Peace, you and yours. Yes, indeed.
Okay. So, it just has two great segments with KT. Blue Pill popped up, so we got to kick it with Blue Pill. We can't let him get away without doing a segment. You know what I'm saying? Paranormal.com, KTtheArchDegree.com. Shout out to the websites. Check it out. But check it out, y'all. You know, me, Blue and KT was just talking about the post-2012 world that we live in, and we were talking about, I guess, how the quantum world is becoming more popular. People are tapping into quantum consciousness more and more within each year. It's becoming more of the norm. It's becoming, you know, I remember it was probably about 2003. Bobby introduced me. Shout out to Bobby, Hemmett, and Linda. Bobby introduced me.
Shout out to
He told all the people,
Linda, of course.
He told all the people in the audience, 2003, to get the book Holographic Universe by Michael Talbot. And I got it. I didn't understand it at the time, but you know, the more research and the more information I got, I understood it.
Shout out to Sonia Barrett.
Yeah, Sonia. Shout out to Sonia Barrett. And seems like this quantum talk is just like, I'm hearing it everywhere. I'm hearing it from Conor McGregor. Have y'all heard Conor McGregor talk? Now I know he just said some racist shit the other day. You know, he talk a lot of shit. Number one, but Conor McGregor. Actually, me and Jew was talking about it. Me and Minister Jew was on the phone, and we were saying Conor McGregor talks of quantum so much. He talks about the law of attraction. He talks about bringing things from the unseen realm to the seen realm. He talks about how he didn't have nothing, and the fact that he was able to visualize things made it manifest at a faster rate. I mean, the dude is really on his quantum.
He created the biggest sports spectacle of this millennium, right? He had to have visualized that into existence. We would call it trolling, right? But on the flip side of it, quantumly, he created a situation that pundits, critics, and experts say technically could never happen or would never exist. He believed in that thing so much that he convinced the rest of the world to play into his imagination. Now here we are.
So I would advise.
So what you think the outcome of that?
No. But it's gonna be funny because we got two people that got strong beliefs in themselves. Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor. Floyd is a cocky dude. He believes in himself a lot. So that's going to be interesting. But that's aside the point. I don't want people to get distracted by the comments that he recently made. All I'm saying is that this dude has a knowledge of the law of attraction, of the quantum world, of this information that he has been applying to get where he is currently at. He has been able to do things that no other UFC fighter has done. So I just wanted to bring that up for an example. I want everybody to Google or YouTube Conor McGregor and the law of attraction, and you're going to be surprised when you hear some of the ish he says.
And being racist is a form of quantum mechanics, because it's done to incite emotion. Yeah. It's done to incite emotion. It's done to incite a reaction. Because if somebody's racist towards you and it don't affect you, then it's not going to do anything. Right. Like the hope is that you react to the thing. You see what I'm saying? Right. Mm-hmm. So it's trying to, yeah.
Racism is based on a reciprocation process.
Exactly.
So I'm throwing an energy at you to elicit a response. Right? So now we have a quantum entanglement. That's we have an energy exchange. We're entangled.
So no matter what I do from that point on, you're going to be affected. And whatever you do from that point on, I'm going to be affected as well. Okay, and just to give some background on the people on the quantum, there's different rules to quantum mechanics. You got super entanglement, you got superposition, quantum entanglement, you got superposition, you got qubits, you know what I'm saying, in the computer. So you got ones and zeros is binary code, but when it comes to qubits, 1 and 0 can be at the same time, and that's what you would call a superposition. And it's not just 1 and 0 at the same time. What it's really saying is every possibility, every probability can go down.
That's quantum computing.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. So this is I mean, this is going to be a very quantum talk, family. KT gave the disclaimer last video. If you're not into quantum talk, if you're not into metaphysics,
just go.
Kindly change the channel. You don't have to leave. This is the new thing. We're going to leave disclaimers. Instead of leaving a negative comment, just change the channel.
Just change the channel.
At this point.
Because you done left every comment you could possibly leave.
Don't jump into the comment section.
We're 5 minutes in.
Just go to the Shannon Sharp talking about Kaepernick and Mike Vick. You know, it's mad joints trending right now.
And this is why I don't buy the bullshit, because there's so many options out there.
See y'all later.
This is a real advanced talk. We've been prepped by Bobby Hemmett, Phil Valentine, like Brother Blue mentioned, Sonia Barrett. We've had Dr. Delbert Blair. You know, we've had
Eckhart Tolle.
Yeah, I was just naming the melanated, but I mean, shit.
Dr. Joe Pookrum,
Abraham Hicks. Yes. I mean, we could go on and on with the speakers. I mean, shit. I mean, there's so many speakers that deal with this. It's amazing. But check this out.
Minister Jew.
Minister Jew. Young brother holding it down.
Minister Jew.
And the priesthood, him and Ampool.
Ampool.
Yeah, let's give it up. It's well deserved.
Shout out. Let's get into the talk, family. We talked about submission. Something our ego does not want to do.
No.
It hurts when we don't. It hurts. You know what it hurts, KT Blue Pill? When this is when it hurts, and this is some real shit, family. And we all been through this, or a lot of us been through this. I don't know what age you are. When we have to pay bills, right? We got to pay rent for the next 6 months, but we're intellectually analyzing our financial statements, and intellectually, we don't know how we gonna do that shit, man. So it hurts us in a way. And we hear these brothers saying, submit to your higher self. It already knows the way. And we're wrestling. It's like we're fighting ourselves in our mind. And sometimes we take that energy out on other people, and that's called misdirected energy. But a lot of times, we're trying to figure out, how the hell am I going to do something? And we're hearing that an aspect of us knows it, but an aspect of us consciously does not know it. Talk to the fam. This is something that a lot of people are watching this going through right now. How can we believe in something that we can't see, KT Blue Pill? You keep telling me about the higher self, but I can't see it. And it's hard for me to believe that there's something that I can't see is going to solve my problems for me, brother. Talk to me.
Now, your number one problem that you have every day, you deal with by doing what? Inhaling and exhaling, right? Because you're not gonna live if you don't inhale or exhale. But what are you inhaling and exhaling?
Oxygen.
When was the last time you saw it?
When it was cold in New York and I saw that air blowing.
Oh, you saw that hot vapor. You saw that vapor.
Yeah.
You saw that vapor that interacted with the cold dynamic, that gave credence or reinforced the fact that you're dealing with some other medium. But normally, when you inhale and exhale, you're not seeing that breath coming in. You're not seeing that breath going out. You just know because your stomach changes shape. You know, you make a sound. You know, you don't see wind, you see the wind's effects. You see the trees move. You know what I'm saying? You see garbage bags floating around in the sky, but you don't see any of that. But that's the very thing that keeps you alive. So immediately you're supposed to know that everything you see, or everything you don't see rather, you know what I'm saying? That's not what it's about. It's about being able to feel. It's more of a feeling. It's more of a vibe. It's more of an energy. Because when you have a gut reaction, when you have an intuitive sense, when you have your goosebumps and your hair stand on edge, these are all experiences that deal with not seeing something, but rather feeling the vibe. So I'll feel the wind hit my skin,
Right.
or I'll feel the air enter into my lungs, but I don't see it. And if we put too much focus on the things we see, which we already know that the electromagnetic spectrum has the visual spectrum within it, which represents a very narrow window, meaning that there's a huge field of energy that we're not seeing with our eyes. So we can't just like utilize our eyes as a means of an end product to believe in a thing. Because most things that people believe in are not even physical, real things, right?
Right.
Like Jesus is. Can you touch Jesus? Can you touch him? Can you touch Allah? Can you touch Krishna? Are these?
Not technically.
No. Okay.
No.
No, they're not.
But ye of little faith.
Oh, faith. Wait a minute.
Okay.
Isn't that Imani? That's Imani in Swahili.
In Swahili, we're not talking Swahili though.
Faith.
But faith, right? So our belief in faith, only the theurgical terms that are relegated just to Christianity, or does those terms or the meanings of them supersede outside of that quote unquote box?
Right.
Because that's what people are having difficulty with, right? These terms and how they apply to yourself, whether you're inside of this quote unquote box or outside of that box. You know what I'm saying? So ye of little faith, the people who have little faith, period. Whether they're inside of the box, as Christians they have little faith, because right, their first impulse is fear. Okay? So how can you, going back to Bruce Lipton and the biology of belief,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? How can you be experiencing living if you're captivated in a state of fear at all times? You're doing the opposite.
Right.
Okay? So you're backsliding towards death.
That's right.
Okay? Because you're not living, you're not growing, right? And the definition of living should be what? Growing.
Growth
It should be growth and development. So, as Bruce Lipton said, if you're not experiencing the other side of fear, right, which is the freedom from fear, which would be identified as growing. If you're living in fear, then technically you're backsliding, you're dying every day a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And that is not only in the biological sense, we're also talking about spiritually.
Oh, no doubt.
So the people of little faith, right, because they have been locked into this concept of sight, which is illusionary at best. Right? So they tell us that we're sentient beings.
Right.
Okay? So what does sentient beings mean? Right? That we experience our reality through feeling.
That's right.
Okay?
That's right.
Right? Through the phenomena of our five senses.
That's right.
Okay? But you just said, even with our the sight that is most identified with the regulatory aspect of our reality, which is sight, you know, visuals, vision. You know what I'm saying? First of all, everything that we see is upside down to begin with. Right?
Fact.
So you're locked into an illusion, okay? And then our eyes are only perceiving a small percentage of the available light spectrum.
That's right.
So what is reality?
What is it? The
Okay.
very thing that keeps us alive is something we do not see. Breath is number one.
Okay.
And we don't see that thing. Like you said, unless it's a cold day and you got some nice warm breath. then you might see a little bit of reality. But that's similar to people who have spiritual experiences where things they appear every now and again. You know what I'm saying?
Apparitions, and things of that nature.
Right,
so,
right.
You know, it harkens us back to, you know, that question: what is reality? You know, we live in a world where 99.9% of the people think the sky is blue and water's wet. I mean, water's wet, but the wet water's blue.
Right.
So if we're talking about the square that man stands on below and above himself, you know what I'm saying, on this planet or this plane, you know, and they say that they live on a blue marble. Well, the earth can't be blue if the water's not, the sky's not blue, okay? So everybody's on the blue pill.
Everybody's on the blue.
Everybody.
And 99.9% is like empty space, so to say. It's like matter only represents a percentage of it. So it's like, what are we really seeing?
What are we seeing? This is a holographic reflection. You know what I'm saying?
External expression of what's going on within, what's going on inside. It's a display.
And you know, I don't know if everybody saw American God or not, but we would have to do an entire episode on that. You
did one with what's the name?
I did, but we didn't really peel all of the dimensions back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
because
that gotta be a special.
Only thing that I've been seeing on TV or with these conversations that people get caught, I'm like, yo, all of these are like
bits and pieces
of these conversations that we have in private amongst one another.
Bits and pieces.
You know what I'm saying?
This is what it is, though. It reinforces the whole. It reinforces the whole quantum thing. You see what I'm saying? Because
all day,
everything we're seeing externally is a byproduct of the conversations that we have.
Our internal conversations.
Why does the MCU? Why they almost at 12 billion right now? Why are they so good at making the movies that they make on these comic book characters? Who was the ones that had the books open going in? Our mind created all of this.
Right, he's talking Marvel Comic Universe.
You know what I'm saying?
Family, if you don't know what the MCU is.
Oh yeah, that's what that follow. They know.
You know, so they hinted on the fact that there is a multitude of permeations of Jesuses that exist, and this is all based on people's perception of it.
Right.
So I try to explain to somebody, say, look, when your Nana died and she closed her eyes, you know what I'm saying, and she transcends to that other place based on the reality that she lived in, she's going to experience that, quote unquote, that, you know, once those gases release, that's the euphoria of her afterlife is going to be pretty much predicated on the fact that she's going to be with her Jesus. You know what I'm saying?
That's what she created.
That's what she created for herself. You know, that's the crystalline structure of her reality that will become, you know what I'm saying, her post-reality, which is going to be her eternal dream.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So, it like I said, I'm just seeing all of these concepts reinforced in media, and you know, they're putting the narrative together and around it, and making, you know, the interpretation of these conversations so much more easier. You know what I'm saying?
Human resource is the resource. It's like they're not going to come up with anything. The only reason why they keep coming up with anything substantial or of value is because it's something that we're thinking about. You know what I mean? And
look at your Black Panther prophecies. Look at my 444 prophecies.
I'm like, yeah, we both need like JOU, a little something. Kevin Feige, yo, holla at your boy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I already know.
So either we're geniuses or we're creating the quantum reality that we're living in and everybody else is playing observer to. You know what I'm saying? Either or.
There it is.
You feel me?
And the submission, like Rich was starting off with, the submission aspect comes into play with our higher selves because we already know what's best for us. I don't know how many times you've been in a situation in life and in hindsight you like, man, I already knew I shouldn't have did that. Like, you didn't get that in hindsight, with that in the future for hindsight. You got that in that moment.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Not me. I rationalize everything.
Yo, he
ego.
forgot.
That's the ego.
No, he forgot his
ego.
little brother was across from him. Don't make me.
That's the ego.
Don't make me do it. Nah.
That's the ego.
Listen, just so he don't look like he's the one over there, me as well. I'm talking about everybody, you included, y'all. Like, I know you say that stuff in hindsight, but what really plagues you is the fact that when that situation happened, you knew. Like, we know better because we have a higher resonance field that's governing over us, and based upon like our body and how clean we are and how pure we are determines the bridge, how clear that bridge is between the two. And the submission comes, we submit to it. You know, if you're having spiritual experiences, you can't be egotistical. You can't meditate and then go into the room and kick the door in and like, I'm the man, and grab your balls. Like, that's not how it works. You gotta release. You gotta let go, and whatever comes to you, you gotta allow it to come. Because why did you dive into that world in the first place? Why are you on that path in the first place? Because you're on a quest for ions. You're on a quest for ions, and what do I mean by that? That's question. That's where the word question comes from. Because you're looking for the charge. You're looking
for ions.
Yeah, quest for ion.
Oh,
man, hold on. The quest for ions, the questions. I like that, man.
Yeah, that's what it's about. Ions mean
Mill ions, Bill ions, Trill ions. You on the quest for ions, right?
That's what it's all about. It's the traveler. It's the exchange of the energy.
Wow.
It's the current. We ain't after money. We after currency.
We after...
I don't need no money. I need electricity. I don't need no money. I need water. I
As
don't
we
need no
can
money.
see,
I need land.
You could pick your phone up this past weekend and see people is into attention as currency. Okay?
That's a dangerous drug, man.
You could give them all the money in the world. You could cut the biggest of checks.
It ain't enough.
That's right.
They want attention.
Attention.
They need your attention, okay?
Pay. That's why they say pay.
That's the currency.
Attentive ions, though. Attentive ions, right? Attention.
Yes.
It's still got that ION at the end of it. Like
attentive ions.
And they say to pay before it. Pay attentive ions.
Yes, that's right.
Pay. Pay attentive. Pay attentive ions. Yo.
You gotta. It's all about energy, and it's all about
paying your energy. You're paying somebody your energy.
Yes, wow. Of course.
This is going great, y'all. This is going great so far. Go ahead.
You working at a job 40 years. We ain't gonna just say 9 to 5.
44, right?
Ain't nobody get 44 years, right? At a job for 44 years. You ain't working 9 to 5. You leaving at 4:40. You leaving early because you already know you putting in too much work. Can you really equate the time invested with this other individual who has his own intent with his family and his life and his people with what you have to do? Does it equate with that check? Really? That's 600, that's 7? I know it's handling the bills, but honestly, is it an equal exchange? No, that's not even reciprocation going on right there. What they're doing is they're taking your energy and they're taking your time. Okay? Because the time is where it's at. Because we make it. We think we're a victim of it, and we always chasing it because of our misconception of what time really is. It's nothing that you have to chase. It's nothing that will evade you. You form it on your own. The more that you organize and strategize and put things in place, the more time you have. When you don't do that, time escapes you. But it ain't time's fault.
Facts.
It's your fault. Because Chronos is what? He's supposed to be Father Time.
Father Time, right.
You know what I'm saying? And Capricorns deal with organization.
Facts.
They utilize time the greatest because they organize and they use their time properly. So we go back to Kemet. We see the Zodiac. We see we were timekeepers. But what else were we other than timekeepers? Agriculturalists. The only reason why we understood the stars is because we understood the seasons. And they worked in tandem with one another. You see what I'm saying? And because we had festivals, we had equinoxes, we had solstices, we had all these things based on time.
So the evidence of good timekeeping is one, being able to sustain food, clothing, and shelter.
Yes.
Because you can't do that, right, without a handle on time.
That's right.
Because agriculture goes hand in hand, right, almanac with time. Okay.
IRS started as the Department of Agriculture.
Right?
A lot of people don't even know that.
Right. So moon cycles, you know what I'm saying, and planting, all of this is precipitated on time.
Yep.
Right. The movement of the celestial bodies, and the evidence of that, the reward of that for being on top of that will be food, right, harvest, and the clothing that comes from that.
That's right.
Right. Because all of that is made from, like you said, it's all coming from the land, from natural resources.
Cotton.
And then the sustenance or the maintenance of the home.
Yes.
Right? Based on you yielding these things, right? Being in obedience and in line with time. So the fact that we're on, as a people, and I'm not saying I'm not putting us in that conversation. Fuck it, I'll put myself in the conversation because I've had issues with time as well. Being on colored times, and color being a colorable term that does not exist.
Right.
Right? How can the people who don't exist ever be on time?
I tell you why. I got the answer to that. I know how. I'm going to tell y'all right now. I say it all the time. But nobody listens to me when I say it. What's the basic unit of time, Blue?
A second.
Where's the first? That's why they're always on time, because they set the standard of being on the 2. We're on the 1, which means we're always behind. We're going to always be behind the people that's always behind because we're listening to their behind. I don't know. Maybe that was too much for them. Should I bring that back?
That was too much.
Bring it back. Bring it back.
That was too much.
Slow it down. Bring it back.
What is the basic unit of time? We got
A second.
exactly. You got years, you got months, you got weeks, you got days, you got hours, but the basic unit of time are seconds. Second represents 2.
Right.
So why would the basic unit of one of the most important measurement structures that we use to govern our reality start on a 2? Everything starts first.
On a 1.
So where's the 1 at? The 1's not there because they don't want us to start from the 1. Because if we start from the 1, then someone will always be behind us because we'll be leading. But because our basic unit of time already starts in second place, then we will always be in second place.
First thing everybody gonna say is, well, how do we start from the 1, KT? It's the first thing they're gonna say.
Oh, that's very simple. Stop following a Gregorian way of time. We have to get back to a natural state of time. How do you get back to a natural state of time? You have a day. The day is broken up by a clock, and that clock has an hour hand and it has a minute hand. What is the hour and the minute hand of the natural clock? It's the sun and it's the moon. You see? And then you have the suprachiasmatic nucleus, right? That sits right behind the retina of the eyes, which is your biological clock that works on the same time frame as the clock on the wall, 12 hours. 2 intervals of 12 hours. 12 hours light, 12 hours dark. That's how you're able to govern all the processes in your body. It is not the digital clock on your wrist, on your phone, on the wall. It is the sun and it is the moon. So, of course, we're in a society where we're in so deep. It's like, how do we get out of it and start off anew? But, yo, we have to create our own time. You see what I'm saying? Because we're going off of somebody else's clock. And if you go on somebody else's clock, you're working for somebody. You're an employee. You're clocking in, you're clocking out.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? But we talk about being entrepreneurs, though, right? We talk about having our own businesses. So you have to do that not just on the mundane level of having a business and having that. You got to do that on all levels. You see what I'm saying? So if you want to give in to the standards that have already been laid out, then you can't complain about the effects that come off that thing. If you want things to change, then you have to change that particular dynamic. And how you know that it's about seconds is because when a clock makes its sound as it goes around, there's a tick and there's a tock. a tick and a tock. That's why when you count, what do you do if you count? If you have to count to 10, if you're playing hide and go seek or something, do you just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi? Why do you say Mississippi? Because that's that space. That's that space, missing. Right. Yeah, because it's a second. So it's like 1, 2, 3. Right. You're so skipping a space.
It always represents the space within the space. And that's where you quantumly exist between both dimensions to begin with. So the first second, which is the first, is the internal time. Right. That's the time that exists. And you know, for my people that wake up at 4:44 and 3:44, and you got this internal clock. You know what I'm saying?
The 4:44.
There's always bringing you to a realization. Then you externalize outside of yourself, and you go and look for that other clock. Oh, what time is it? You feel me? Chasing those seconds. Yeah. But internally, you know what I'm saying? I've had many of experiences where I got to get up at 7 o'clock. You feel me? And my internal alarm clock goes off at 6:59. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
All the time.
That's real.
What do you call that?
My grandma used to do that.
That's the one.
My grandma used to do that.
That's your internal clock. That's your internal clock. You're the clock now.
You can sit down and
you can program yourself.
My grandma used to do that all the time.
You program yourself. You synchronize yourself with this universe. Like he said, with the moon cycle and the sun cycle that governs, right? Those 12s, those 2 halves, right? Going back to your 4:44 and 12. So understand, like, it's within you. You know what I'm saying? You are the timekeeper.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? We have once again given that up in exchange for something that's outside of ourselves, and we have allocated one of the most basic but important things to someone else who has no history of time on this planet. So we've given that up. Oh, I'm gonna let me tell what time it is, and you know, daylight saving times and all of this other. Brother was talking about coming back from Greenwich and the Meridian, how they, you know, all of that is mechanical. They put all of that in place.
The sun comes up at 4:40. It's probably more like 4:30, 4:20, but it's 4 in the morning. That's when the sun rises.
Out UK.
Yeah.
You're talking about, okay.
Early.
Right.
Yeah, by 9 o'clock, the sun's been at 9 o'clock. It looks like noon.
I was about to say,
like it's afternoon at 9, which means once again the people, they're up, they're at it, they're getting it, and when the sun goes down, you start to calm down because circadian rhythm. The way you know you control time, you only can understand that is when you understand the quantum level of things. When you go down to the nanoscale. Your cell performs 100,000 chemical reactions per second. The only way that makes sense is if a second to our cell is different than the second to us, obviously.
Facts, yeah.
Because I'm not doing 2 things in 1 second. Right. Let alone 100,000, bruh. Yeah. And then like sharp and meticulous, or else your body gonna fuck up. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, like time is relative.
Quick question. I got a lot of questions, but quick question. You mentioned in a previous video, and I want you to mention again in this video. Say I'm trying to swat a fly, annoying ass fly.
About to say it. That's quantum.
That's quantum. Go ahead. So we tuned in.
Quantum. That's quantum on top of quantum.
You know what I'm gonna say, brother. Go ahead. KT, you know what I'm gonna say. Go ahead.
What was the last thing I just said? Time is relative. Right?
Yeah, go ahead, brother. Explain what this is deep. Explain what I didn't ask you to the people. Oh, yeah. Because you know what I'm gonna say, so explain it.
Yeah. So you're sitting there, and you're chilling, and you're like thinking about something, right? Maybe you're meditating. You're just trying to have a quiet moment.
Right.
Doors open, right? Big fat ass fly comes up in the window.
Annoying.
Just everywhere, right? And he just want to be all up in your face. He go land right by you.
You like, I'm gonna get this nigga.
About to get this motherfucker. You pick up that paper
as fast as you can.
Quick, right?
As fast as you can.
I'll do it again.
As fast as you can.
Right?
Yeah.
That dude done left, came back 3 times, kicked me in the back of the head.
And you're like, damn, he's fast.
Because he saw this.
That's real. This is real talk.
Real, like by
no, literally.
all the way back here.
Literally.
He's still there. He looking up at me like, this mother think he about to do something. Let me see. I think I could go pick up the kids and come back. Fly out the window, come back, everything. I ain't even landed down. Because, why? That fly is like this big. Its mass, its relative feel, its existence is nothing like mine. Which means time to him is not time to me. It's a totally different time frame going on there.
Right.
So even though I think I'm moving, let me see, my time frame might be 50 miles a second or something. Like it's a fast force, right? But to him, 50 miles a second is like a slug.
But KT, it seems like some people like Floyd Mayweather is able to tap into that. Because you got fighters that swing at that top speed. And the way he moves, Muhammad Ali, another example.
Would punch before he would think of the punch. Before he would think a way he wanted to hit someone in his nose, he would hit him in the face or his hand would be recoiling back from there. Because our mind, yo, like,
talk to them.
Listen, we have infinite abilities. Remember, this is a playground. We don't get that. Like, Earth is a playground. We able to do whatever we want to do. There are rules, there are guidelines, but you're able to break through borders by achieving higher heights. So somebody like Muhammad Ali, who's a Capricorn. Capricorns represent those that climb mountains. They are just the greatest at what they do. Remember, and it's funny, we talking about time. Brought up Muhammad Ali, Capricorn, that's time right there. His thing was all about time and fly like a butterfly, sting like a bee. You know what I'm saying?
Right, time.
That's what he was always about. But he was able to tap into a higher state of himself where he wasn't even fighting anymore. Like when he got in the ring, he wasn't fighting these people. They was already defeated. He was done. How did he beat George Foreman? Like, how did that happen? The rope-a-dope. Who thought of that? He was like, I'm gonna tire this cat out. He was like, my speed ain't gonna work because of his power. See, that was all physics he was thinking in his head. He was like, but guess what? If they big, they gonna fall big. How do I take them out though? Oh, fatigue. Fatigue. He gotta keep his energy up. So I gotta drain his energy. If I drain his energy, he's gonna sleep like anybody else sleep. So that's what he did. But my thing is this: you got 2 minutes per round, bruh. Like, how do you think that quickly? And of course, he could have premeditated and thought about that months and months ahead of time. But still, when you in the field of battle, yo, it's a totally different thing going on. And for him to execute that so on point like he did, just lets you know how you just able to connect with higher parts of yourself. Your body is at your will. It's at your will. It mends and bends how you want it. If you put nothing but garbage in there, then you'll have a garbage body. If you take care of your body, you'll have a powerful body. You know what I mean? And Muhammad Ali was a specimen. The brother had it. You know what I'm saying? Rest in power.
Indeed.
Rest in power to him.
We'll be back in Kentucky this weekend. You know what I'm saying? Make sure that we visit his gravesite again and the museum, of course.
And the home.
Indeed, yeah.
You know,
and the home.
Indeed.
There's not a lot of room, again, for things that are external. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, you had to go inside to solve an internal issue, right? That was something that was expressing itself in the astral plane based on a, internal stirring. There was something that was stirring you at night because there was an uncomfortability. You had to make peace with yourself. That's right. You feel me? You had to find that pathway. You had to find that pathway. So the majority of these conversations I get thanked for in the streets, amongst my travels, is people say we give them the tools so they can do for self. There you go. You understand?
Yeah.
Even if I'm an adherent or a practice right? Or if I practice, I'm a practitioner of.
Don't mean to cut you off, Blue Pill. By the way, Bobby Hemmett is one of the main ones that gave me that too to go to myself for the answer.
Yeah,
but go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Even if I'm an adherent or a practitioner of different systems, that's not what I project to the people when it comes to helping other people. You know what I'm saying? I don't send you to me. I don't send you to somebody outside of you. I don't send you to the priest. I don't send you to none of that. You know what I'm saying? We help people. We furnish tools so they can help themselves, so they can do for self. You know what I'm saying? When you are alone in the dark, right, with no landline, what you gonna do? You feel me? When you on the mountain and ain't no Babylons up there,
What you gonna do?
ain't no confessional booths, okay? It's only you and the machinery that you've been provided with, okay, that will help you attune to every dimension accessible. How you gonna tune in? How you gonna tap in? How you gonna, knock on that door and get access, you know what I'm saying, to the realms that you need to go to? It all takes place internally, like the brother was saying. You know what I'm saying? In the last segment,
We never had to beg. We never had to plead. Our existence has always been because the Creator wanted to live vicariously through us.
facts.
That's deep.
He can't feel emotion. He can't do none of that.
Yeah.
But we can.
We can.
Right.
So
right.
what is the reciprocal force of that? Oh, wait a minute. I need to tap into something. Can I tag on that line real quick and get something real? Sure you can.
It's there.
I think I wrote a post the other day, and I was speaking about, according to the biblical narrative, because the majority of our people, this is what they were raised in, this is what they know, or let's just say the religious paradigm, period, right? Because it speaks to all three religions, okay? But according to that narrative, you were told that the angels, right, were jealous of you.
Yeah.
Right? So, first of all, your book is now telling you that they had emotions.
Yeah.
Okay? So they must have been human because they had the expression of emotion. And, right, how close were they to God if he is not able to access emotion? But they were. Okay? But they didn't have any genitalia. They had emotions, but they weren't reproducing. You ain't want to cut. Anyway, so.
That's why you were emotional.
Maybe, yeah, hey.
I'm just saying.
So they say that you were, right, given the ability, right, to have will, right, and choice, right? So you can say, fuck this shit, I ain't with it. You have that right. They don't. They're prescribed to a lifetime of duty, even though it had to take some kind of weight. But when the devil said, I ain't fucking with this, isn't that a choice?
Yeah. Like, what is it?
We're going into a whole nother conversation with.
But that's why you got to think of anagrams and understand angels mean angles.
Angles.
You're talking about angles of light. Because
right.
based upon where you are on the earth, you're going to need a particular angle of light. And that light, having
Right.
an electromagnetic field on it, is going to carry information to you for you to digest.
Right.
And if your angle of light, you're not going to be emotional. There's no emotions with an electromagnetic field. It just is what it is. It's going to do whatever the Creator tells it to do because it comes straight from a source to something. And we, as we slow that light down in order for us to experience our existence, can then emote based on that experience.
Right.
You know? But yeah, that's just the confusion when people get caught up in the personification of science by way of allegories, you know, being the main way that information was passed down. And now we get stuck on the allegory.
But KT, one of the things that the things I had to deal with coming up, trying to find myself, me and you and Blue just had a conversation behind the scenes. I wish I would have recorded it for the Patreon family. I wish I would have.
That's always the richest conversations.
Yeah, behind the scenes, you know, I don't know why, but it is what it is. It is what it's pure.
Because it's not being observed. There's no camera.
Yeah, it's pure. It's so pure. But we had a conversation about emotions and the functions of emotions. growing up, even, you know, when I was outside in Brooklyn vending every day, 5-6 days a week, talking to people, brothers that was into Sufism and all of these different cultures, a lot of them told me emotions were a bad thing. But now the conversations I just had with you, I told you that when I envisioned my biggest success, I became emotional. And I feel like my emotions brought it to me at a faster rate, made it manifest at a faster rate. I felt like my emotions is a gift and a curse. Sometimes it's, you know, I may drink and I may act crazy. Sometimes I may drink and I may do some insanely visualization. And I'm like, I could have never did that sober. Oh shit, thank you. You know, but that's beside the point. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, talk to me about emotions. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Is it neither? Because I heard from the Sufis that it's bad, don't have emotions. But then I've heard from not Eckhart Tolle, Abraham Hicks and other people about how emotions can serve to benefit you into manifestation.
Well, I'm with emotions. I'm a water sign, so I'm not gonna deny my nature. I love emotions. Ain't no problem with it. Like you said, you had a situation where you sat down, and even though you didn't consciously say it, like we got so many blessings and powers as human beings in existence that we really kind of like frivolously waste the powers we got. Like being able to sit down and have a thought and create in our mind and speak to ourselves, that is a gift. That is a power.
Yeah, that we take for granted. That's a gift.
So you can sit in the quiet and you can think about your success, which means what you now did is you connected with a whole nother dimension of a rich that was successful. The emotion was you being being entangled, quantum entangled with that other rich, feeling that feeling, and that cry was a physical representation of the connection that you made to let you know what you're doing. Stay with it. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Yeah, so our emotions are like
you've seen it so clear.
They're crystallization agents.
You've seen it so clear you had to shed a tear.
Yeah.
Because it crystallized.
Because it crystallizes, and that's what emotion is. It's about like a crystallizing of something.
But hold up.
Yeah.
That's great. But what if I'm watching 12 Years a Slave and I cry because of the pain and torture my people are going through? What about that?
That's quantum entanglement as well.
It's the same thing.
You connecting with Solomon Northup or whoever else is in that situation.
Am I creating that pain in my life?
Well, no, because what is the intent behind that pain? When you cry, you like, I don't want anybody else to feel this. I don't want us to go through this shit again.
So it depends on the intent?
Oh, it's always intent.
Always intent. Okay.
Yeah, it's always intent. Because remember, you sat in the park with the intent of what? Success.
But only also you are quantumly entangled into that experience anyway.
Yeah, genetically.
There is trauma that's inside of you.
And it cries.
Right? It cries. Based on that program has already been posited into your consciousness.
That's right.
For you to feel that that's your reality. So when you see the visualization of it, right? Yeah, you're going to feel that pain.
Right. Okay. You know
what I'm saying?
Okay. That makes sense.
Emotion. Now, real quick. Tears, crystallization. We got to understand what is the essence of a tear. Most specifically, everybody identifies tears from water by way of what? Salt. Right. Salt. Why is salt so important? Because salt is sodium. And when you look at the periodic table of elements, it is not an S. It is not a SO, it's not a SD, it's not a SM, it's Na. Why is it Na? Because sodium is known as natron, and natron comes from nectar.
Come on, KT. Come on, you gotta explain that, brother.
The salt and the light, that's God.
You gotta explain that, brother. You gotta explain that.
It's the crystal.
Explain that, brother.
The salt.
Break it down.
When you look at the periodic table of elements, y'all all look at the 11th element, atomic number 11. You will find sodium, but the abbreviation for sodium is Na. And the reason why it's called Na is because Na is short for natron. Natron is a Latin word for nectar or nature.
Whew.
So nectar and nature and sodium and salt are all coincided. Why? We are right now in the Aquarian age, which is ruled by sodium chloride, which is also known as salt. And what is Aquarius known as? He's the what? The
water bearer.
Holy shit. Wait a minute. What does salt do with, doesn't water follow salt wherever it goes?
So how did black people figure out to say street slang, man, this nigga salty? How did we figure that out? How did we figure out this complicated process to say
he taking on my water? I'm dehydrated.
How do we figure these things out?
Dehydrated.
Yo, how do we figure these things out, bro?
We created all of these things.
Yo,
beyond
street dudes don't know nothing.
We created all of it.
Nah, they know it. Let me tell you,
he's salty. That nigga's salty.
What? First of all, what is another name of the hood? What do we call it? What is the name? What is the ground? What do we call it? We don't say the hood. We say we're in the streets. The streets, right? What is a street? It's a road. It's the ground. It's grounding. It's the ley line. When you say I'm in the streets, you're saying you're connected to your hood, neighborhood, community.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. Right.
So that's what streets is all about. I'm from the streets. You're saying you're from, I connect. I know my neighborhood. I know where I'm from. I know the shortcut. I know don't go to that corner store. They got the better sandwiches over there. You know what I'm saying? That's you knowing
your environment.
That's you knowing your environment. You being in tune, homeostasis. So cats that are from the street, if they not well read and studying metaphysics or watching YouTube videos or whatever, it don't matter. They connected to their ley line.
Because as Bruce Lipton says in the Biology of Belief, your DNA is informed by your environment.
Yes.
So just through the process of osmosis, this information is being downloaded, you know what I'm saying, to individuals that are standing on these ley lines. Just because the ley lines are overlaid by concrete does not mean that the energy's still not emitting. That they're still not tapping in. You know what I'm saying? So the information is always being conducted. If we look at the streets like a body circuitry, you know what I'm saying? How energy travels and light emits. That's the way this information is bouncing to and fro. So, you know, you got these churches talking about the salt and the light and this, that, and the other, and on every corner.
That's right.
You feel me?
All the time. Matthew.
So this conversation is always being had. And you know, if you look at a lot of slang, you know what I'm saying?
How about dope? How about the word dope?
Yo, that shit is dope.
That shit is dope, son. Right?
Right.
Why do you say that?
Why?
Because as a child, we learned that when we do something good, we get a what? What do we get when we do something good?
It's candy.
A reward?
A reward. Right. Now, we never pay attention to this. But when we get the reward, it's not the reward, it's the feeling you get of the reward.
The dopamine?
The dopamine.
Man, cut that out, man.
Some dope shit.
This some real. Nah, it's real.
That was dope.
It lets you, on some real ish. It lets you know how connected you are, and we don't even know it. We don't even know how smart we are.
That's the beauty of it.
We are it. That's what we gotta get.
Right.
Like, we are it.
We're connected to it. We are it.
We are it. It courses through us and shit. When we take care of ourselves, we get some real powerful shit that flows through us. You know what I'm saying? That's why you can go to some of the darkest corners of the earth and niggas is still brilliant, bruh.
Yeah.
They still brilliant because the
creativity
sun still comes up. Like,
creativity is on 1,000.
They still breathing. They still got DNA. They might be doing a bunch of things to inhibit or slow it down, but that deals with just how powerful their genes and their blood is, where they can still bust through it, you know? So we just tried to give people and like he said, the tools necessary so people can kind of clean off their back and they can just get like better flow and better reception, because we all get it.
KT and Blue, let's talk real quick about the Akashic records. Now, I recently had a conversation with Sri Master Gano Grills.
Shout out to Gano.
And we was talking about reincarnation and living multiple lives and
20,000.
Yeah, the brother said he lived 20,000 lives. I mean, that's
got some rotation.
That's a lot right there, man.
My God.
But we ain't gonna get into that. But what I want to ask you, KT Blue Pill, is this Akashic records that I keep hearing about. Let's say, okay, now they say the geniuses could tap into this. Let's say I'm talking to you. Let's say I'm talking to Blue Pill. I'm talking to KT, and I'm trying to think of a question, and I want to access the Akashic records to think of this question. I don't want to just ask of a question I heard on TV. I want to think of a question that comes from the Akashic from 5 lifetimes ago. Yeah. So when I ask it, people will say, damn, what did he come up with that shit for? We ain't even never think of that. But I thought of it 5 lifetimes ago. That's why I asked it.
Right.
Oh, it could be anything. It could be Michael Jordan. It could be Quincy Jones making a melody. It could be KT making a drawing, or Blue Pill writing a certain poem that people are just like, where did he get this poem from?
Right.
But there's certain individuals that tap into a certain energy that we're like, we've never seen this before. How do you do this?
Right.
And some people call it tapping into the Akashic records. Talk to me about this whole concept, brothers.
Say the word again. It's
Akashic records.
What's the root word of that?
Akash? Is that Akash?
Yes, but you're just not enunciating it properly. It's really acacia.
Acacia.
Like the tree.
Okay.
The same tree you get DMT from.
No, hold on. So wait.
The Akashic records are the acacia records. Okay, because trees store information. Think about it.
Facts.
Everything that manufactures and produces is named after plant. Manufacturing plant, nuclear power plant. Plants deal with that. What do plants do? They take raw materials and they refine them. Trees do the same thing. Their roots is deep in the earth. They're pulling up minerals and refining them, which means if anybody got old ass information, it's going to be somebody who's been here for a long time.
The trees.
Exactly. Whew. Now, in order for you to receive any type of information, you do that through your nervous system. Your nervous system are made up of nerves and neurons, and the neurons are made up of dendrite, soma, axon, synapse. The receiving end of the neuron is called a dendrite. Dendrite is Latin for tree. The area of your brain that you tap into is called the arbor vitae, which means tree of life. So all of these references lead back to the tree. We even use it to describe genes and shit. Phylogenetic tree, right? The animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, those are all trees. So the Akashic records are really the Akashic records, because the acacia is supposed to be the tree that no matter what spiritual system you're dealing with, that's where the deities came out of, especially a Saw and a Set. They came out of the acacia tree. You know what I mean? So that's what that is. It's not a matter of being a genius. It's a matter of tapping into your tree. Now, what tree do you tap into to bring forth information no one heard before? Your family tree. Where's your family tree? It's in your DNA.
I got
Royalty, got loyalty inside my DNA.
I'm just saying.
Facts.
I'm just saying. And just to kind of like slather this on, we keep talking about the word believe and belief, right? We don't pay attention to the fact that we're actually saying 2 compound words.
Be leaf.
Right? Which is from a plant, right?
Right, a
be
tree.
leaf or be leaves, right? Either one.
Right.
But why does be leaf and believe both have references to plants one again?
So explain to me, why does it?
Because our whole existence deals with the interface of the plant kingdom. The plants are our medium in between all the dimensions. You want to get greater answers, you want to get better answers, the plant is always going to be the guide to do it. And even if it's not physically putting a plant into you, it could be philosophically by you creating a diagram that'll do it. The only way you're going to understand your family and your lineage is by creating a family tree.
Family tree.
Facts.
Man, KT, man. Cut that out, boy. What's wrong with this dude? Cut that out, man, what's wrong with this dude, man? Yeah, this is a real good conversation, real advanced. We gave the disclaimer at the 5-minute mark.
Yeah.
So we should only have.
Still here. Y'all must be converted by now. Y'all Christians now.
we gave the disclaimer at the 5. We over an hour in.
Yeah, your belief is all the way. You should be tapping.
Thank you for tuning in this long. Check this out. Let me talk to you about the concept of You were talking about belief and believe. The concept of being versus doing.
Oh,
now,
yes.
I've heard Dr. Phil Valentine touch on this. Mm-hmm. And it seems as though some people may say, if you talk to Esther Hicks, Abraham Hicks, or if you talk to some of these other, I guess that some people call them New Age philosophers, they would say that being is more important than doing. Now, what we're always taught to have a to-do list. What's your to-do list for today? We're never taught to have a to-be list. We're always taught, what are you doing? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? What are you going to do after you do this? What are you going to do after you do that? But we're never taught to have a to-be list. And they're saying that you could do something, but what are you being while you're doing it? If you're not being successful while you're working, you're never going to be successful. You're just going to be working. So talk to me about the concept of being versus doing.
Yeah, that's like the difference between living and surviving. You know what I'm saying? Or working for somebody rather than having your own job. You know what I mean? You're going through the motions. Doing is a matter of just going through the motions. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to get this done. I got to get that done. What is the end of that? What is the means of that? While be is a matter of being in the now. Like understanding that the most important moment is the now moment, because future and past, they're really just aspects of what now is. You're constantly experiencing the now, and as the now passes by, it's the past. Like, that's why it's called the past, because it passed already.
Let's posit this. The now is the eternal first.
Yeah.
The second is what comes after that, right? When you're extending onto that next point, when you're coming out of the now, then comes the second, right? Because now you're engaging in time. Now is eternal. It's the one.
That's right.
Right? So you're forever now, right? You're forever now. You're forever being. You're a human being, for after all. Yeah. Okay?
Not a human doing?
You're not a human doing.
Being. You're
a human being.
So to touch on the do part, what if you go throughout your day and you got a to-do list, but you can't get all that shit done?
Right.
Well, you need to be. You know what I'm saying? You got to take it. You got to be, because apparently during that course of that day, you weren't supposed to go that way. You weren't supposed to go that way. There's other things that you were supposed to experience.
Right, okay.
You see what I'm saying? And the only way that you're going to really line up with the things you need to line up with is if you just be and let it be. Right. The experience that I had with that is in St. Croix. That land is alive, and we had a lot of plans on things to do, but it ain't about what I want to do. You got to just be on that island.
Is that what Shakespeare meant by to be or not to be?
That is the question.
That is a question. Okay.
To be or to do. That just doesn't have the same ring to it. So he wrote it a little differently.
So he said to be or not. So he wrote it, oh man, a little differently.
You know what I'm saying? But in addition to that, like, you got to always look at things on multiple levels. You know, and people might think I reach, but when you think of the word be, you have to think of the be. Like, the be is something that's definitely entangled with our existence. We would not be able to engage in any of these plants to have these experiences if we didn't have scarabs or bees doing the work for us pollinating. You see what I'm saying? In order for us to deal with the pine trees that have high levels of the platinum elements in there, or the lotus flower, which I went in detail with when I went to the Kew Gardens, and I was in front of you missed that part. I was talking about, I saw the Victoria lily pads that they got from South America with 10 feet. The 10 feet lily pads, papyrus grass growing out the pond. Like, how tall was that papyrus, babe? Like 12 feet tall, 13 feet? That thing was way up, like basketball hoop. And then they had the Nelumbo sacred lotus, okay, the real boy, where this is why Khepera exists. Kepara, you notice on Kemet is a scarab beetle. He holds the red sun over his head. He got the wings, and he has water that he's sitting in underneath him. And when you look at the Kepara, it looks like a bird's eye view of the sutures of your skull, with your visual spectrum being aligned with the infrared beam of light that's red, because infrared is what gives your waters and everything its power, turning your body into a battery. But what's most dynamic is, why did they pick the scarab? And a lot of people talk about dung beetles and how they roll the dung up in the ball, but they miss the fact that scarabs actually were pollinating before bees were. You see? And they pollinated the pine trees, which came initially, and then they pollinated the lotuses. Now, peep how they do the lotus, bro. So the lotus flower is water, right? Murky depths that it's sitting on top of. The flowers open at night, right? The scarab beetle comes only because lotus flowers have a thermoregulator, where whatever temperature it currently is, the ambient temperature, like it's 80 in here, the lotus can increase its temperature 20 degrees. So it's 100. That means it's warm-blooded. Like, what the hell is that about? It can increase its temperature to 100 degrees. When it increases the temperature to 100 degrees, it catalyzes these aromatic phenols, which are molecular structures inside of the lotus that then produce the aromatics that are reminiscent of pineapple. So they heat themselves up 20 degrees and they start secreting a pineapple smell. This attracts the scarab. It comes and lands on it. It starts eating all the sugars inside, right? Eating. When the sun comes up, the lotus flower closes with the scarab still in the motherfucker. And it eats and consumes and pretty much meditates the whole day. When the sun goes back down, the lotus flower turns from white to purple. Opens. Now the pollen that it had when it landed got mixed into that, so it pollinated that flower, and then it leaves with the new pollen from that flower and goes to the next one. And that's how lotuses. When it leaves, the plant turns from a female to a male, and then it drops down in the murky depths of the waters as it gestates its seeds to rise back up again. This is why we had that on the walls of Kemet, because of what it represents.
Wow, man. We gotta get you a bomb or sound effect.
No,
we gotta bring the bomb over from KTL.
Oh, man,
hey.
I mean, come on.
Boom.
We ain't talk about nothing. We just
Keep
breaking
telling him
down
to cut
movies
that out.
over here, man.
I
Just
keep
movies
telling
in
him to cut
44.
that
That's
out.
what we talking about.
That's what we talking about.
44 movies. That needs to be our film company.
Man, oh man, oh man.
44 films, though.
No, 44 blockbusters.
44 blockbusters. Yes, the blockbuster, though.
Listen, man, this is some serious talk here. I definitely appreciate you brothers coming through. It's getting late.
Brother.
I got. I'm gonna ask you guys one more question. I have no idea what I'm about to ask right now.
That's some quantum stuff. Right
You know
Your
what I'm
higher
saying?
self knows.
Yeah.
Quantum.
He's sending it to you right now.
That's
He's
quantum.
downloading it.
You know?
You know what I'm saying? But I guess just talking about the whole idea of the inside of us. You know, I showed you these pictures of, like, they call it trippy visuals a little earlier.
Yes.
And it was like a lot of sacred geometry and all of that stuff. Oh man, and I'm looking at movies, these movies that come on, like the movie with Eddie Murphy. What was the movie with Eddie Murphy with it? The body was a spaceship.
Oh, Dave.
Dave, yes, Dave. Meet Dave. What is it?
Yeah, I think it was Meet Dave.
Meet Dave. All right. In terms of the inside of us, and in terms of when we meditate, and in terms of what goes on in our mind, and we talked about the concept. This might be a little complicated, and we talked about the concept of doing. Is the whole concept of doing an illusion? Because sometimes it seems as though what we're being is all that is. And the doing part is sort of like, you know how like when you watch TV and they show the slow motion replay? Mm-hmm. It's sort of like reality is like a slow motion replay of what goes on in our mind. Mm-hmm. So there is no external reality.
Right.
It's just that it's a replay of what's going on in our mind. So you got brothers like Michael Jordan, like, yo, I shot this shot 1,000 times. So when the game came, I just knew what to do. It just happened automatically. So is the whole idea of doing, the idea of cause and effect, the idea of movement, is all of this shit just an illusion because it just happens in the mind, and by the time it happens physically, it's just a slow motion replay, but we think it's real because it's happening so slow?
That's deep. Now, what I can say to that is our existence, as I said before, is made up of us slowing light down. Light has a constant speed that it has, shoom, but we're able to slow light down. And in slowing light down, all types of things are able to manifest as a byproduct of that, which is slow motion, you know, replay, everything. All of our existence has to deal with that. You know what I'm saying? The slowing down of light, the crystallization of light into matter. You know, and in order for light to slow down and crystallize into matter, there has to be some type of structure or law or guidelines to it, or it's just going to be some chaotic stuff. It has to be some type of order. So that's where the geometry comes in. You see, the geometry is there, which is really the magnetic field, because the magnetic field is what gives rise to form, while electricity gives the force or the energy and the direction of flow. The magnetic field deals with the form of something. So that's what that's all about. It's all about the geometry reinforcing the movement that light has to take in order for something to be created or something to be produced. So when you're looking at a Metatron's cube or you're looking at a dodecahedron, you're looking at the pathway that light can go. You see what I'm saying? That's what's needed. You brought the body up. When you go inside the body and you see the way the capillaries are in there, the 60,000 miles of blood vessels, how are we fitting that inside of our body? We're fitting it in our body through the geometry. That's how you're able to nestle 60,000 miles, 2.5 times around the earth in a 6 feet person. That's nothing. Your DNA is 6 feet in every cell. You got enough DNA to go from here to the sun and back 300 times. It's in your body. That's geometry.
That's how much DNA we got?
Yes, bruh. 6 feet. Take one cell out your body and pull the DNA out. It'll be as tall as you. Just one cell. So you're 100 trillion of you working simultaneously to sustain this reality. And that's done through electromagnetism, through the current, the exchange, through redox reactions of electrons being given.
And you want to throw all that away, Thotton?
Oh.
You more than a thought. Cut it out. God damn.
We just saying we not playing. So yeah, not to just get too scattered with the question that you were asking. We can definitely we can straddle the fence on the concept in regards to what's real and what's illusion, and how is the illusion created? What is the byproduct of? Like, you can really kind of get caught up in the muck of all of that. We just got to understand that the illusion is based on the construct that we're creating, because we're inside of a simulation, so to speak. In order to learn something, the same way, you know, there's flight simulators to teach pilots how to fly, because you don't want to take a real plane out and fuck the plane up. You know what I'm saying? So you have simulations so you can learn certain things. You know what I'm saying? Without causing too much destruction or collateral damage at the same time. So we have ourselves a simulation as well, so we don't end up corrupting or tainting or tearing our spirit up too much, because this ain't our only reality. You know, this is a moment in time that we're experiencing in order for our spirit to develop and for our soul to grow. And in order to do that, we had to put certain things in place. And those things in place represents sacred geometry that is consistent on a microcosmic scale all the way up to a macrocosmic scale. That way, nothing is lost based on mass or relative, you know, size. But that's my take.
Everything he said.
www. I think I put 4 W's right there. That's the
That's the dark web. That's the dark web
right there. That's where Trump and them at. Nah. www.kttheartsdegree.com. KT the Arts Degree, Instagram and YouTube, Commodity Tape, Facebook, Love Green Life, LUVGREENLIFE @gmail.com. Big shout out to Mama Pill, greenleaf-herbs.com. Please holla at Mama.
Shout out.
Got all your needs in full effect. Like I said before, thank you all the people who have signed themselves up and booked themselves for the retreat, all-inclusive flight, lodging, food, 7-day expedition down in my homeland of St. Croix, so I can give y'all the herbal formulation, the food workshop, as well as the reaping in the rainforest, so you can get your own herbs and dry them amongst all others. And because we're booked up now, I can now announce that the end of April will be the next retreat. So anybody who is interested in that, LUVGREENLIFE @gmail.com.
ShastaMedicine.com for those sacred plant healing retreat journeys.
Yes.
We're taking our next one August 17th to the 22nd. Ooh. We will be in Northern California, and we're going to cross over to Oregon, where there will be 100% visibility of the solar eclipse.
Ooh, we're going to talk about
that. On the 21st. So you want to be on that expedition. Okay, ShastaMedicine.com. Soul Gold Biz, SOLEGOLDBIZ.com. We have our minerals back on deck. We got the liquid gold. Shout out to Jay-Z and Beyonce. All right, we got that platinum. We got the silver.
Jay said his daughter drank gold water. Did he get that from you, Blue?
Hey,
he gets
yeah. Quantum entanglement.
Are you entangled quantumly with Jay?
Quantum entanglement.
Are you entangled with this brother, man?
It's the way that we're gonna. So 444 Decoded is coming on August 11th. It'll be a webinar. All right, we'll have the information and the flyer and everything posted shortly. But again, like the brother said, if you're not into quantum physics, do not come to this webinar. It's not for you. You could go and read all of those other kooky 444 Decodeds online. But if you come up for some real science, all right, if you are ready to go into this rabbit hole, all right, then you definitely want to be there for the 444 Decoded. All right, so at Blue Pillar 44 on Instagram, holla at me. Paranormal.com, Ocean14corp.com.
That's right.
All right.
Louisville this weekend.
Yeah, Louisville, Kentucky this weekend, the weekend of the 22nd. We're in July, 22nd, 23rd.
Is it? 14, 21, yeah, 21.
Yeah, it'll be the year anniversary. We was out there the same weekend last year. That's quantum entanglement.
There it is.
All right, so we're going to quantumly entangle in Kentucky.
Louis.
In Louisville, as they call it. All right, shout out to the Louisville family. So we'll be out there. I think we got a date coming up in Baltimore. Me and Red, I'm going to do a precursor to the 444 Decoded. All right, well, now I want to talk about the conscious community versus the stay woke community.
Ooh, stay woke.
Ooh.
All right.
Stay woke.
Stay woke.
I'm gonna do my preference introductory lecture before I get into the 444 Decoded. All right. Because all y'all dudes who you got your panties in a bunch about this album that the Mr. Jay-Z put out, it's not for you, conscious community. It's for the stay woke community. That's a whole nother conversation at a different time.
It's for people who like Jay-Z. If you don't like him, then why?
And on that note, we're going to see you, family. Thanks for tuning in. We signing out, family. Peace.
Peace, family. This Brother Rich from UGR, urging all my viewers and subscribers to help support the channel by donating just $1 to the UGR PayPal account. We appreciate the viewership and support, and we understand the power of $1. If you benefit in any way, shape, or form, we ask that you donate $1, whether it be monthly, bi-monthly, quarterly, or yearly, so that we can build our brand to compete with the NBCs, the MTVs, and the Foxes of the world. I figure since Kanye could ask Mark Zuckerberg for $1 billion, I can ask my subscribers to donate $1 so I could make the best possible content possible. The main objective of this channel is to inspire you to become the greatest version of yourself. So hopefully throughout the years of you watching this program, you have been inspired to become the greatest version of yourself. If you would like to donate, you could go to www.paypal.com.
I went from living like monks, living out back of the trunk, to pockets of fat with the monks, pockets of fat like the clubs. Now I am living like Trump, now I am living like Trump. Mimosas and mimosas, mimosas and mimosas, mimosas and mimosas, the Morris Costa Nostra. Pulling up in Testarossa, recharging the debt, discharging the debt, discharging the debt, recharging the jet. Swipers on deck, ciphers on deck, ciphers on deck, wipers on deck, wipers on deck. My life is on check, my life is on check, my life is on two, my life is a Jew, my life is on you. My wife is on two, my wife is on two. I'm going for three, you know it is me. Bread is the pillar, the jet is my pillar, the fez is the killer, the bread is gorilla, the flow is Godzilla, the lizard the beast. I visit the priest, and tell him my sins. I tell him I'm twin, I tell him I'm him, I tell him I'm him. High majesty, high as can be.